I don't know if you've heard, but we are doing a live show. Yes, TSS World Cup Live on June the 11th at the El Rey Theatre in Los Angeles on the opening night of the World Cup, the night before the USMNT kick off their World Cup campaign against Paraguay. We're absolutely buzzing for it, and I know we are plugging it a lot at the moment, but that's just because we want as many of you as possible to be in that room at the El Rey Theatre. It looks like an incredible venue. It'll be an incredible night. This will be the first live show that we've done in nearly 4 years since the last World Cup. So if ever there was a time to come along and support us and to sample what I think is a pretty special TSS community, now is the time to do that. The atmosphere will be buzzing with it being the opening night of a home World Cup for the USA. We'll have exclusive merchandise. We'll have some special guests. Ryan might even sing the TSS unofficial World Cup anthem, which he's yet to write. Yeah, he better get on that quickly. Joe might do some push-ups on stage. So as I say, it'll be an incredible night. Please visit tssworldcup.com to buy tickets, and we'll see you there.
Welcome to the Total Soccer Show. It's our latest batch of listener questions, everybody, and this episode is a World Cup question special. We're deciding which team's players will score the most goals. We're bubble wrapping 5 players before the tournament starts. We're picking an 11 of players that didn't even qualify. There's so much to come in this episode. Do stick with us. My name's Ryan Bailey. Joining me today, hi Taylor Rockwell. How's things with you, sir?
Hello, Ryan Bailey. You are the resident question selector. My question for you for this one: at what point did you decide it was going to be World Cup themed?
When I looked at all the most recent questions, and most of them had a World Cup bent to them. That was it.
That'll do it.
It's not that scientific. Yeah.
He didn't decide. Everyone else did.
Exactly. The people spoke, Taylor. The people spoke. And we've answered some questions. Well, we will do over the next 45 minutes or so. Graham Ruthven, hello. How are you?
I'm good, Ryan Bailey. I very much enjoy your hat. I like the neon crown on it. YouTube viewers will be able to see the hat that Ryan is wearing. Is a neon crown, is that common? Like, do we think monarchies, like the English monarchy, do they have a neon crown? Like for raves? Like there must be different versions of crowns, like dress crowns, casual crowns, rave crowns. There's got to be them.
It's a royal rave.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you very much, Graham. This is from the Charlotte FC Lightning thing they did, where they had the really offensively luminous shirt as well. I've got the jacket of this. I think Joe's got one of you's got the Seattle jacket thing.
Oh, I've got the Seattle jacket.
Yeah, it's you. Okay.
Oh, it's the same. So it's the same line, is it? Right?
Line.
Was the marketing for the Seattle jacket better than whatever you just said about the Charlotte one? Offensively luminous or whatever. Whatever the tagline was.
Yeah, being on the offense can be good in soccer.
Oh, right, sure. There we go.
It was that. That was what
That's
I meant.
how it works.
If you're watching the YouTube channel, you can see my hat. You can also see Joe Lowry's lovely face. Hi, Joe.
Oh, wow, that's so nice. We could probably come up with a better pitch to come check us out on YouTube if you're so inclined, or if you're an audio listener, just stay there. You know, like why change your routine? I'm sure it's lovely. You've got a system down. You know when to listen to us. You're probably listening to us right now, headphones out on the subway or in some other public space. Keep doing that. Everybody loves it. Keep it up.
Yeah, just imagine Ryan in his neon and his rave crown. He normally wears his dress crown for these episodes, but
It's feeling less. It's Saturday, Graham. I'm feeling less formal.
sure.
I'm in rave crown.
Saturday crowd.
Makes sense. I, for one, can't wait for the larger-than-life teapot to come out from backstage, so I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, what a treat that would be. Look out, listener. Look out. By the way, Taylor, you had an injury earlier this week. We are towards the end of the week. I hope feeling better now. I promise there will be no more iChat, particularly what Joe said on that MLS show a few days ago.
Yeah, I know.
That was a plus 15 moment if I've ever felt one.
I warned everyone. I feel no remorse.
Yeah.
You didn't warn me. I couldn't skip it. I had to listen to it all over again.
Good point.
No more iChat. I'm good on iChat. Although Graham loves it. Graham wants to hear more in-depth conversation about eye injuries.
I had to skip that whole bit as well. Joe, you're going to compensate us for the ad dollars we lost on yesterday's episode.
Worth it.
Well, if you want to see all of our functioning eyes in their realistic glory, you can head to Los Angeles.
Mostly.
This June.
What a pitch.
I know, right?
My eyes barely work, man. I don't know about all y'all's.
I mean, yeah, at least 2 of us wear glasses and one of us has an eye injury. So, I'll
one pair
rephrase.
of functioning eyes.
Hey! TSSWorldCup.com is where you'll find tickets to our live show. It's on June 11th. It is the night before the US's endeavours against Paraguay at SoFi Stadium. There will be soccer chat. There will be guests. There will be fun and games. There will be $25 tickets plus fees for you to come and join us. Do so. You can use your US dollars. We're also accepting... should we do some crypto? Should we accept crypto, Graham? What do you think?
Tacos? There's a taco place next door. I'll accept tacos.
Excellent. So we're accepting US dollars, tacos, and Hawk coin, the official coin of Hawk Tour. Is that right?
Is that a real thing? You tell me more about Hawk coin.
What a poll. What a poll.
Hawk Tour, I've not heard that in a while.
Go to tssworldcup.com to find more. Thank you very much. All right, should we get to our listener questions?
Weird Star Wars reference. There's a name I've not thought about in quite some time. Specifically in reference to Hawk.
Always pleased. I shouldn't have converted all my savings to Hawk coin. That's what I'm saying. Sorry, very
That
much.
was an error. Just very quickly before we move on from this scintillating section, I want to give a shout out to, we were talking about the Seattle jacket, I want to give a shout out to Cisco Kid 23, who got in touch to say they are flying in from Seattle to go to the live show, which is incredible commitment. That is amazing. So I'm just wondering if anyone can beat that journey being made to the El Rey Theatre on June 11th. Let us know if anyone can beat Seattle, because that's quite the trip.
That's awesome.
You, me, and Taylor?
Yeah,
apart from us, we don't count.
Different.
We are not real people. How many times do we have to go over this?
This is true. Thank you very much, Cisco. Please provide, we will be providing songs for you and songs for you to join us. We appreciate that very much indeed. Joe's furrowed brow means he doesn't remember that song.
It's Saturday.
We're loose, and we've got a question here from Glorious Porpoise, which is a wonderful name. We're getting our World Cup questions underway with this one. Which club will score the most goals at the 2026 World Cup? That is, players from which club will score the most goals? Could it be PSG, Bayern, Man City, or other? Asks Glorious Porpoise. What do we think, Taylor? Are we looking to these powerhouses with a strong front 3 and 4 for the most goals tally of a club?
I think so. I do wonder if somebody else found a more like niche answer, but I think there are basically 4 front runners, 3 of which were mentioned in the question itself. I think it's probably City, Bayern, Real Madrid, and then PSG, unless more injuries are picked up along the way. PSG, like the only one that I think hurts them is Kvardana not qualifying, but otherwise you've got Hakimi, Doué, Barcola, Marquinhos, Dembele, Vitinha, João Neves, Gonzalo Ramos even. So plenty of potential goal scorers there from a variety of different spots. I'm hesitant to keep going because I feel like I'll just end up listing a lot of players, but I think you could make a compelling argument for any one of these teams. I think I lean City in the end because I think Erling Haaland might score like 7 goals on his own for Norway in that group. And then there's Cherki, Bernardo Silva, Doku, Marmoush, Semenyo, Gvardiol, Reinders, to name just a few. So I think I lean City, but I welcome debate and conflict to change my mind.
I love this question because I don't think there is an obvious answer, and Taylor, you've gotten to that well. Haaland is a potential X factor here. With that being said, I watched one of the Norway games back in the March window. There wasn't a whole lot of attacking prowess coming in behind that front line in the game that I watched. I believe it was against Switzerland. So there are some question marks there for me about how Norway generate chances. I know that they weren't really up for that game because it's a friendly and Ryan keeps us grounded and that sort of thing all the time. The thing I worry about for City, as if this like really matters, the thing I worry about for Man City is outside of Haaland, do they really have another goal scorer? Like Doku is a guy with a ton of gravity on that left side. We saw that for Belgium against the U.S. We see that for Man City all the time. He is not a true regular goal threat, at least at this stage of his career. Someone who is more comfortable out wide. And I think of him as the guy setting up the next action rather than the guy taking the final action. Foden is someone who, I guess I'm not totally clear exactly what his role is going to be for England this summer.
If he's lucky.
Yeah.
Honestly, it feels like he might not make the squad.
So there's that piece of this. Then you get to Cherki, who's a brilliant player. He very much is a provider rather than a scorer, although he's talented enough to do both at a World Cup level. Semenyo for Ghana maybe gives you a little bit more of both of those things. But I just wonder for City where the depth is after Haaland. But that might be enough on his own to go and get City the win here. The one that I ended up going with, although it was not an easy decision, I have Real Madrid as my answer to this question. I don't feel super confident in it, as you can tell, but Mbappe for France, Vinicius Jr. for Brazil, you have a couple of guys who are going to be X factors for teams that could win the World Cup this summer. That's kind of my starting point. I wanted to have players who are going to be making deep runs in this tournament in all likelihood. Yeah. And then I also wanted to have maybe 1 or 2 players who are the man for a team that might make the round of 32, might make the round of 16, but even if they don't make a deep run, they're going to burn hot and fast. And that's when I had Arda Güler, who it sounds like is going to be playing at the World Cup this summer, though we don't know for sure. And if he's not able to go for Turkey, that's unbelievably good news for the U.S., but bad news for my answer to this question. But Goulet would be on my list. Fede Valverde for Uruguay. That dude's the man. Like, I know Darwin Núñez exists. I know there are other attacking pieces. Valverde is the best Uruguayan soccer player on the planet right now, and it's not even close. And he can deputize at least a little bit in the attack. Then I have Brahim Diaz from Morocco, who I think is another player that fits that description. And then this one doesn't, but Jude Bellingham's good for a few goals, I think. Or at least a couple of goals at a World Cup. There are other clubs that can compete with Real Madrid. Certainly, I think Man City is absolutely one of them. But just for the top-end quality for good teams and the guys who are going to be the man for not-so-good teams, that's what tilted me towards Real Madrid.
Yeah, so Real Madrid they were my number 2, Joe, for all the reasons you've just outlined. And I also kind of I tried to look at the group fixtures. I mean, trying to project the knockout rounds in this format is impossible at this point. So I didn't look past the group stage. But Mbappe's got games. They've actually, France are in one of the more challenging groups. It's actually why I kind of stayed away from City and Haaland, as Haaland's got games against France and Senegal, where, look, he might still score in those games because he's Erling Haaland, but maybe might not be like a gimme for a hat-trick or even a couple goals in a couple of those games. And Mbappe, he's got Senegal and Norway on the other side of that. A game against Iraq. Vinicius has got Haiti, Scotland and Morocco, so he could get a hatful, particularly against Haiti and maybe even Scotland as well. Bellingham has got Croatia, Ghana and Panama, so it feels like Real Madrid's a good shout. PSG Taylor is also a good shout. I agree with the Kvaradona thing. He won't be there. That harms them. The other thing that harms PSG is 3 of PSG's forward line all play for France, and so they won't all start. Like,
Are we due for a France implosion, by the way? Do we think there will be a
we can only hope. Mbappe's getting warmed up early, right?
Yeah, Mbappe started that. He started that early ahead of the World Cup. So, yeah, possibly. But, like, France have so many options, and it was the same with Cherki at Man City, where brilliant player.
Yeah.
Maybe he does become a starter at this World Cup, but there's a question mark over him. So my number 1, taking all that into account, is Bayern Munich.
Yeah,
and it's
a good
the
pick.
reason. It's the reason for that Joe said, like, I wanted main guys who I knew are going to start, who are going to be the main kind of goal scorers for their team. I've got Harry Kane, who could score goals against anyone, but his group stage games are Croatia, Ghana and Panama. Feels like he could quite easily end the group stage with 5 goals. I've got Michael Olise, who does seem to be a starter for France. He actually plays as a number 10 for France, which is quite interesting, but he's got games against Senegal, Norway and Iraq. And then, while I'm not as confident about Colombia making a super deep run at this tournament, Luis Diaz will have games against Uzbekistan, DR Congo, and then finally Portugal. So I feel like he could be good for a couple goals in those games as well. So I've gone for Bayern. You've also got like Musiala, Kimmich's a threat from set pieces. Like, they've got a bit of depth throughout the field. Are we counting Nicholas Jackson as a Bayern Munich player? I guess we are.
Absolutely, I would. Yeah.
So Davies, did you say him?
I didn't say Alphonso Davies, but yep, he's another good shout. So yeah, Bayern were my number 1.
Yeah, Bayern. The reason I didn't go Bayern is because I didn't feel like they could match the top end goal scoring depth that Real Madrid have of Vinicius Jr. and Mbappe. But Kane might be the best bet of any of those guys to be scoring. Ryan's crossing his fingers in hopes. I'm uncrossing all my fingers to balance that out. But Bayern have the 2 categories that I was talking about. They have at least one player who is undeniably the man for a team that could win the World Cup, and that's Harry Kane. And then they have the players who are the man for secondary or even tertiary teams. Like Jackson is one of those players. For Senegal, Alphonso Davies is a really great shout. If Serge Gnabry wasn't injured and wasn't going to miss this World Cup, that might have been enough to sway me towards Bayern. Honestly, I was pretty convinced hearing Graham talk about it anyway.
Good stuff. Glorious porpoise. Thank you very much indeed for your question. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we've got some injury-related queries for you. Join us then. Total Soccer Show, welcome back to our listener questions. Mark Ladd has been in touch. What a lad. Which players or player who picked up an injury before a World Cup would you go back in time to carbon freeze so they could play in the tournament? And why would you do it? Joe, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I love that you came to me first on this, even though we talked before we recorded and said that I read the question wrong. That's awesome.
This is your punishment, Joe.
This is my punishment, and I deserve it. I just love that that carbon freezing is kind of entering the soccer injury lexicon. That makes me really happy. I feel like I have some responsibility for that. So it's only right that I go first.
It was May the 4th early this week, Joe. So.
It was, very much so. That's okay, fine.
I just want to remind
Never
everybody.
mind, take all the wind out of my sails.
If you're going to carbon freeze those players, you got to unthaw them in time because you get carbon sickness. It takes some time to adjust to the vision and the breathing, so you don't want that to be like right before the tournament. You got to get them.
You have to freeze them in a particular position like this as well, right? With the arms sprayed out. Is that right?
Yeah, that's
I like
exactly
the Family
right.
Guy version in which he's frozen while mooning Darth Vader.
Ah,
Sorry, Joe.
Good deep cut.
Away you go
Yeah,
with
let me
your
give you all
full
my
and
great
honest
insight.
answer.
So I only looked at the 2026 World Cup because I'm a fool who can't read. So I will go through some of the injuries, and this is helpful for me, sort of taking stock ahead of the tournament, which is literally on our doorstep. This prep for this episode got me so excited for the World Cup. I'm actually juiced for this. My answer for this World Cup is Hugo Ekitike, who I think if there was someone that could make France fun, it was either going to be him or Ryan Cherokee. So Ryan Cherokee, help us. You're our only hope. If we're just going to keep that up, I suppose. Let's just do it. Even despite Didier Deschamps, I think that France could be fun. But with Ekitike and Cherokee on the field together, and Elise and some of these other pieces, I think maybe they really were going to be. So I'm a little less sure of it now. But Ekitike quickly became my favorite player to watch in Europe, at least my favorite attacker to watch in Europe this season. And that injury suffered with Liverpool is just devastating. So that one really hurts. There are a number of other key injuries that are kind of bumming me out. I mentioned Serge Gnabry already for Germany. Rodrigo for Brazil, that's a bummer, happened a long time ago. I'd sort of forgotten about that until prepping for this. We're not going to have Xavi Simons this summer for the Netherlands. Japan are going to be missing Monaco's Takumi Minamino. And we still don't know about a number of other guys, right? Like Lamine Yamal has been kind of run into the ground. That doesn't feel like the biggest concern, but it is a little bit of a concern. Esteval certainly is a big concern. And that would very much bum me out because I think he is one of Brazil's most entertaining players, and he's one of the best young players in the world. So I would miss all of those guys. But my answer, at least for 2026, which is as far as my research took me, is Hugo Ekitike.
Okay. Very good.
You seem not so convinced by that, right?
I think he was waiting for one of us to jump in and get
Okay, sorry. Shall I go
I'll do
next?
that.
Also,
now.
but France are still quite fun, aren't they?
Yeah, hopefully.
On the basis of what? Past World Cups where they've bored us all to tears? But, yes, they have got a lot of good. They've got
Fair
a
enough.
lot of good.
Graham, what are
players.
you thinking on this one? Sorry.
So I went historical, and I think the big one for me was Radamel Falcao, who tore his ACL not long before the 2014 World Cup, and that was at the time when he was one of the best forwards in the world, and he missed Colombia's cashing back to that World Cup. They were one of the stories. They were like the dark horse of that tournament. They made a run to the quarterfinals. You had James with a big bug on his shoulder, and Falcao played no part in that tournament. And worse than that, Falcao was never quite the same after that injury. He did have a bit of a renaissance looking at his numbers. I'd kind of forgotten just how prolific he was in a spell for Monaco after that World Cup. That's when he's in the team with remember that Mbappe and Bernardo Silva and Bakayoko Monaco team. They were really exciting.
Oh yes,
Falcao was the old guy in that team, and he was decent. He was very decent actually. His numbers were good, but he didn't quite have he lost a yard of pace, or maybe even more than that. Physically, he wasn't quite the same player as well. So I think that's the big one for me is Falcao in 2014. And then another couple shouts from me. Marco Reus missed that same World Cup for Germany when he was meant to be a key player for them, and of course he missed them winning that World Cup, which must just be such a difficult thing for an injured player to experience when you're meant to be one of the main players and you have to sit at home and watch your team win without you. So I have a lot of sympathy for Marco Reus there. And then finally, Sadio Mane was one of the biggest absences of the last World Cup in Qatar, and he was one of the best wide players in the world at the time. And I think that World Cup, as good as it was for the football side of things, it would have been just a little bit richer for Mane being there.
Yeah.
Falcao was really my only answer to this question because of the form he was in leading up to that World Cup or leading up to the ACL injury, because he was just so good for Porto, so good for Atletico, even really good for Monaco, and then he has the ACL, is it his ACL? That he has,
ACL, I think,
Yeah. And then never really rediscovers the form thereafter, but you do wonder, you put him into that Colombia team fully fit, maybe it diminishes James Rodriguez, because that is truly his coming out party. But I think it probably just elevates and makes them better than they would have been. And I think that's the one that would have been really fun to see, a fully fit and in his prime Radamel Falcao with a Colombia team that were already overperforming. I just wonder how much that would have kicked them past Brazil potentially or something like that. Go ahead.
Well, that goes to a shootout, right? That quarterfinal, the Brazil Colombia quarterfinal goes to a shootout. So I mean, I know soccer doesn't really work this way, but maybe he is the player to get them past Brazil, and then they're into the semi-finals. So it's a big sliding door moment both for that team and for his career.
I suspect there are other huge sliding door moments going back in time. But some of them end up working out. I think Chris Armas getting injured is how Pablo Mastroeni ends up making the U.S. team in 2002. But then he ends up being a really capable and solid performer. So that goes the other way. And I think of like David Beckham in 2010. He misses that one. Obviously, he's there as an ambassador, but like, is he going to elevate an England team that didn't seem capable of being elevated? I don't know. Romario missing for Brazil in 1998. Like, maybe he makes them better, but that France team is so iconic that I kind of want them to win the World Cup no matter what. So maybe it's good that he wasn't there if you're from that mindset. And then on the women's side, like I looked at 2023, for example, and the U.S. has so many key players missing. You've got Katarina Macario, Mallory Swanson, Sam Ewis, Christian Press, Tobin Heath, to name just a few. But even then, like, we had the concerns going in. Joe talked about them for a good long while. Like, I don't know if any of those individuals would have made that team better. And so it feels like a lot of it ends up being like, oh, yeah, that would have been interesting, but I don't know how much of a sort of different world we would be living in. The Falcao one is the only one that really does make me feel that way a little bit.
I think my memories are of players who only just made it into the tournament. So that would be Beckham in 2002. Ronaldo, Brazilian Ronaldo, I think, was it 2002 as well, where he was touch and go, and I think he made it in the end as well. But in 2002, I'm going to mention a couple of cases for that. Steven Gerrard didn't go, and we could have had that tiresome argument about Lampard and Gerrard playing together at that tournament, which would be nice for everybody in the narrative. Man. And he might have stopped Ronaldinho lobbing David Seaman from 40 yards.
But Ryan, where would Nicky Butt have fit into midfield if Gerrard was there?
You make a strong argument, Graham. Very good. Very good. I'm struggling. Oh, I'll tell you another one, I think. And it's an injury, a personality injury. And it's something I spoke about on the bonus feed earlier this week. Roy Keane missing 2002 as well due to falling out.
Personality injury. I love that framing of it. I did wonder where you were taking us with this.
He was physically fit, but he decided it was best
he wasn't
for him.
injured at all.
He wasn't injured at all, but his ego was injured, and he decided to let his nation down and leave before the tournament started.
Ryan, this has nothing to do with the fact that you watched Saipan a couple of days ago over the weekend,
correct.
And you told us in the Patreon on Monday.
This is correct. It's fresh. It's on top of the dome piece right now, Graham. Basically, this one. But that, as I said on the bonus feed, Ireland went to the round of 16. They went out to Spain on penalties. So maybe if they had one of the best players in the world, they might have gone even deeper at that tournament, which would have been historically brilliant for Ireland. But instead, well, I guess they didn't have a disruptive influence in their ranks.
Yeah, he went home and walked his dog.
He went Triggs, R.I.P. Triggs.
Oh, Triggs.
Triggs.
Wow, a lot of references flying around. A lot of things I remember clearly.
That's a really good shout, Ryan, because I do remember being like forlorn that he was not going to be there in 2002, and then you have the Irish performance that you get that you already mentioned. But then there's the question of like, or does that happen in spite of him, or like do they rally around not having him there, and does it bring the team together? Like, there's a lot of like what ifs and conditionals there. But that is the other one. Now that you mention it, that I remember being like, oh man, that's really disappointing. I really wanted to see him play. He would have made them even more fun, and they were a very fun team. So good shout, Mr. Bailey. Even if it's inspired by you watching a show earlier this week.
Yeah, personality injury. I don't think I'm going to get over that. It was like it was front page news. Like, it was the biggest story in the country in soccer for like a full week. And Joe, the reference with Triggs the dog was what Roy Keane did when he got home, and all the paparazzi, all the press was waiting for him outside his house. He went and walked his dog around the park, and the press followed him round, putting microphones in his face. Is kind of iconic.
Yeah, and not long after, on Amazon, you could buy the Triggs autobiography.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah. Just about the story of him coming home. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
I have to look it up.
Early internet era was
It was quite a time. We were blogging all over the place. It was wonderful. Good stuff. And another key did very well at that tournament for Ireland, obviously, as well, doing cartwheels and six-gun stuff. Very good.
Before we move on, can I ask everybody a question? Did Radamel Falcao play professional soccer last season? Yes or no? I wanted to ask everybody this question. Yes or no? Ryan, yes or no?
Feels like a trap, yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Graham?
Was he at Millonarios?
Not just was. Is at
Yes!
Millonarios. What a legend, first of all. That was my first bit. And the other thing is, I got down the Monaco rabbit hole while you guys were talking there. The 2016-17 Monaco team has Falcao scoring 21 goals, Mbappe scoring 15. Yep. The other names in this team, like, this is a peak guys naming dudes team, at least for me in my introduction to soccer. Fabinho, Thomas Lemar, Bernardo Silva, Camille Glick, Timo Bakayoko, João Moutinho, and Benjamin Mendy were all on that team. Yeah. As ridiculous. And there's like three other Monaco teams with at least as many names that are like, oh, really, that guy and that guy. It's beautiful. Makes me so
Do you know what happened, Joe?
To what?
Like why they fell off?
Because they got pillaged?
Divorce. As always.
Yeah,
I think up until the Bezos one, it was the most expensive divorce in world history. Rublevlev, the owner, that can't be it, but he has I think it's a $4 billion divorce or something like that, and he has to divest a lot. I think he's still the owner, but I think he spent a lot less money as a result. But that was when he was aiming to challenge PSG and take over the French league, and for a moment it looked like they might, and then they sold Mbappe to PSG.
Floor and Balkans, they're number 9. I think they're doing fine for themselves.
Yeah,
right?
pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, it's exactly the same.
Like for like. $4 billion. That's expensive. I'd lose half my Hawk coin if I got
Got
divorced.
insight.
Hot coin.
Yeah. Half of it would be gone. Half of my zero. Thank you very much, Mark Ladd.
4.8 billion. Yeah.
Wow. And Julia Louis-Dreyfus is related to the reigning family who owned the club traditionally as well, right?
Is
As
she?
well as the owner of Sunderland.
Louis
I
Dreyfus.
believe.
As well as Sunderland, the
Yep.
Sunderland owner as well. That's the true multi-club ownership group right there.
Two very glamorous locales, Monaco and Sunderland. Mark Ladd, thank you once again for that one. We go now to Aurora R with this one. Who are the top 5 players you want to bubble wrap before the World Cup? Now, bubble wrapping, of course, very different to carbon freezing.
Different.
It's much more
A
gentle.
little less invasive, I think, actually.
What's
Depends
worse
how
for the-
tight you wrap it, I guess.
Good point.
That's true. And how much packing tape you have to use to wrap it up.
And how many you're popping, because I can imagine that could get annoying as well. My daughter loves that.
do you think you could...
Are you conscious in the carbonite, or are you asleep? Because bubble wrap, you're awake and walking around.
hope
in
you're
bubble
not
wrap. That's gonna get
conscious.
really annoying really fast.
Yeah. I don't think you could sort of secure a Rebel Alliance pilot bubble wrapping them.
I think they're
well,
too
budget
perseverance to get out of there. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. You could. Have you ever done that bubble soccer? I've done that once in a bachelor party.
Nice.
Where you dress in the big bubble and you run into each other and play soccer. It's much harder than it looks.
How do people
But
not
doable.
just get concussions every 12 seconds in that?
The bubbles are so big you kind of don't fall on your head. Is the theory.
Is
But
the theory.
there were injuries in the game I played. I'll say that much.
I assumed there would be. I will get us started with the obvious answer to this one, at least if you're me. A lot of this is my already existing bias towards Tyler Adams, but then also
I would have bet $1 billion.
What's that?
I would have bet $1 billion that your first answer was going to be Tyler Adams.
$4.8 billion.
There it is.
Wow.
By the way, I think the settlement was reduced after the fact, so the Discord, I beat you to it, but probably
4.4.
didn't. I'm sure someone got in there. Tyler Adams, I think, would have already been my answer, but then reading Leander Sherlocken's book, there's a whole chapter on Tyler Adams and how he developed as a player, and the kind of why is really fascinating, or what led to him kind of being the player he is. And it really does a good job of painting the picture of a player who relies on reading the game and then communicating what he's reading to his teammates. And multiple U.S. national team teammates talk about how he reads it better than anybody else on the team, and he communicates more effectively than anyone else on the team. And he can tell people where they need to be, how plays are developing, that they need to stay, that they need to go. And I think that is a thing that's been sorely lacking for this U.S. team of late. And so I think missing him, obviously he covers so much ground and does so much defensively, but it seems like he's also just such an important leader and calming figure and communicative figure at that I think he is number one by some distance on my list.
Well, what if I were to say to you that bubble wrapping might have an adverse effect on match fitness? Would that affect anyone's answers?
Wow. Yeah, probably. I probably wouldn't bubble wrap any of these guys if I had to choose.
Then you got to prioritize the most injury prone. Then I guess, right?
Yeah, Gio Reyna, welcome to the bubble
Brian,
wrap.
thanks for taking the fun, ridiculous question and making it grounded in the real world.
This is real well.
I did, Taylor, you went with a USMNT player first. I did 2 separate lists.
I
Because
only did U.S. players. Whoops.
My honest answer is I would only pick U.S. players. If Ryan's scenario is not real, and this is actually
I
just
thought we were all going to have Scotland players. I thought we were all going to have
Yes.
McTominay, McGinn, Robertson, Gilmore, and Gannon Doak.
in my honorable
McTominay on
mentions.
the list ahead of
I will
Sergio Ramos.
absolutely not be doing
Yeah,
that.
you
I
get to,
cannot afford to do that.
You get to barbed wire wrap the opponent players rather than bubble wrap them.
That is Scottish bubble wrap. That's what we call that.
back
Barbed
in.
wake.
Popping them takes on a whole different meaning. I think at that
Brad
point.
watched Saw this week, I guess, is what I'm learning.
No, it was also Saipan.
Nick McCarthy was quite the coach. Yeah,
That's how Roy Keane wanted him to train.
Yeah.
I think we're close enough to the World Cup where even if Ryan's scenario of it does have an adverse effect on match fitness is not really a problem, right? I mean, we're so close to the start of these camps. I mean, it would have a slight impact, but I don't think it would be anything catastrophic. So I've just gone with the 5 players who I think are most important to the U.S. And I think this is a really interesting exercise for that reason. And that's why I'm so curious to hear what Taylor has to say about this and what his USMNT list looks like.
Are you going to make me mad? I feel like you're going to make me mad.
Maybe. I have Adams on my list. So my list is Christian Pulisic, number 1, Chris Richards, number 2, Tyler Adams, number 3, Weston McKennie, number 4, and Folarin Balogun, number 5. Now, Balogun was actually the one that I didn't feel great about. I think you can make a really good argument, a really good one, for Anthony Robinson instead of Balogun because, let's face it, the US Nines never get service anyway. So, I mean, how important is Balogun going to be when you could have somebody else up there? I still think he matters a lot, and I think he's clearly the best 9 in the pool at this stage. But Robinson does matter a lot for this team also. But I went with Pulisic, Richards, Adams, McKennie, and Balogun. Taylor, who are your 5 for the US? I want to know.
Interestingly, I did not have Pulisic on mine, nor did I have Balogun. I had Adams, McKennie, Richards, Robinson, Dest. I think the 2 fullback options there are just so head and shoulders above the other potentials that I think they kind of elevate accordingly on my rankings. I think Robinson and Dest can just certainly do things the other options cannot. But also, it's been so long in my mind since we saw both of them on the pitch together, fully fit, ready to go. Maybe we won't at the World Cup, but with some bubble wrap, we could. And I think they give the U.S. just different looks, even if they're not playing together. You can have one come on later, you can have one come off and one come on, and I think it gives you just different varieties in how you're attacking and how you're defending. I think Chris Richards is far and away our best defender at this point, and I think losing him really removes the one sort of layer of stability that I truly feel confident in when it comes to the U.S. defense. And then Weston McKennie, I think, is the kind of comfort blanket for this team. Even if Adams is the communicator and the organizer, I think McKennie brings the vibes, but also brings a senior presence to this team. He brings a competitiveness and a feistiness, but also I think a warmth and a friendship by all accounts. And so I think having him in there, and especially having him in there at a time when he seems to be valued by Juve, getting a lot of minutes for Juve, he seems to be in really good form. I think he brings a lot of versatility to this team. So he's the other one that I think of as being most important. But as I said, if need be, I love Serginho Dest. I like Serginho Dest. I don't know if I love Serginho Dest, but I know Graham loves Scott McTominay. So if I have to, I can remove Dest and add McTominay just to make Graham happy.
Taylor, you're a better friend to Graham than I. I'd absolutely not. That's off limits. On the Pulisic front, it just inspires panic in me to imagine the U.S. trying to create chances against Paraguay and Australia without Christian Pulisic. Having Weston McKennie and Malik Tillman in the half spaces,
for that, the way he's playing.
Even still, I just think there is no doubt that the U.S. is going to need a player who can actually do something on the ball in the attack in those games, especially. He's got to be there for the U.S. this summer. He's got to be playing key minutes, and so I'll include him in my top 5 to make sure that happens.
Yeah, despite everything, despite the growing concern that I have around Christian Pulisic and his form, I agree with everything you've just said, Joe. He'd be in my top 5 US picks for sure.
Who else would be, Graham?
So I mean, similar to Joe, if you were actually offering me this as an option, my 5 players would be Scottish players. But so I've kind of done a broad World Cup selection. So my number 1, purely from an entertainment point of view, Messi would be top of the list for me. And that might be a boring answer. But with this being his last World Cup, a World Cup that, frankly, when 2022 happened, I didn't think we were going to get. I thought that was going to be it for Lionel Messi in World Cup tournaments. So this feels like a little bonus, but if he were to be injured, I feel like we would, as a soccer community, would be robbed of something special, something important. So Messi would be my number 1. The other one that springs to mind, and this is very relevant, very pertinent, is Lamine Yamal, who is apparently back training for Barcelona right now. So that is positive. Let's hope. I mean this in the nicest possible way. Let's hope we do not see him again for Barcelona before the end of the season. I want him to be ready for Spain to go at the World Cup. But it just feels like Lamine Yamal is ready to... He's about to make that leap into being a true household name. I know he was brilliant at the Euros, but I don't know if many casuals, the kind of fans who do watch the World Cup, I don't know if the casuals in the street know much about Lamine Yamal. And so I think a big World Cup really changes that. My mum maybe knows who Lamine Yamal is, but she wouldn't be able to tell you what kind of player he is, and I think she's the kind of person who will watch about the World Cup this summer. So feels like he's about to make that leap. My third choice would be Erling Haaland. I'd be pretty gutted if he was injured, mainly because I think it would be such an impact on the storyline of Norway being a dark horse, right, and them being fun to watch, and them being in the relative group of death at this World Cup. And I just feel like they don't have a chance if Erling Haaland's. I know they've got Sorloth, which is not a bad replacement actually, as these things go. But I feel like without Haaland, they're not the dark horse that we hope they're going to be. My fourth pick is Michael Elise, who I'm aware I called him something different earlier in the first segment. I'm still getting used to that name. He's been unreal these last couple seasons, but it feels like he needs like a big statement Champions League performance or a big World Cup to be elevated into that tier one of everyone thinking he's one of the best players in the world. And I think he's capable of that. Like, I think he's kind of already at that level. It's more symbolic than anything else. So, yep, I'm hopeful he'll have a big World Cup. And then my number 5 is, I'm going for a homer pick. I'm going for Scott McTominay as my number 5, just because sport makes me emotional, but not so much in a sad sense. Like, I can't recall ever crying because a team lost or because I was sad about something. That's because it happens to me all the time. That's the norm. I get kind of emotional when it's like a momentous thing or a successful thing. If Scott McTominay were to, well, not very often. That's why I can remember it, Ryan. If Scott McTominay was to be injured for this World Cup, I might cry. That it would be just such a humongous blow. I don't know how we're scoring goals if Scott McTominay is injured. So, yeah, I'll have him as my number 5 pick, please.
That's a weird way of pronouncing Harry Kane, but I'll take it.
Maybe we can get the barbed wire for him.
He would be my only. I would use 5 amounts of bubble wrap just for him, just because historically he turns up really tired for tournaments. I'd like to give him a month or 2 off. That'd be nice.
It's just as well he's not going the distance in many other tournaments, and Bayern are giving him a few weeks off at the end of the season.
Sweet. Great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Aurora. Did you see that, Graham? Did you see that with Mateus Cunha? The Brazilian FA announced that Manchester United were going to give him time off in the stretch run to give him full fitness for the World Cup, to which I think the official response was, that is news to us. I like Brazil just stating their goals and trying to manifest it accordingly.
Michael Carrick was like, is he going to pay for the contract that'll cost me?
Yeah. That's a weird flex for Brazil to do. Yeah, they're going to pay the wages as well. I don't know. Anyway. Aurora, we appreciate your question. We take one more quick break. When we come back, we're building a starting 11 of players who didn't qualify. Woof. Let's get to it shortly. Total Soccer Show, welcome back to Listener Questions. Clay W has been in touch with this one. What would be your starting 11 only using players that did not qualify for the World Cup? And where would you rank this team among the World Cup favourites? See if any of you can name a team without saying the word Kvaratskhelia. I bet you
will
can't.
not be doing
Can't do it.
Nope. You'd be doing it wrong, I think, if you're not going down that route. He's definitely in my front line. This team that we can build here is pretty darn good. Spoiler alert. We can maybe debate how good it would be. I'll run through my 11. This is heavily drawing on Italy, and there's a splash of some others in there. Maybe that means that it shouldn't be all that good. But I've got Donnarumma in goal. I have Bastoni as one of my center backs, going quite aggressive there, and I have Nikola Milinkovic, Nottingham Forest, Serbian center back, as my other center back. I'm going with a 4-4-2 here, by the way. Proper football. Thank you very much.
Nice.
I have Calafiori as my left back, and hopefully he's going to balance out Bastoni's insanity as my left-sided center back. I have Michael Coyote as my right back. I don't know if that's a good pick or not. There probably is maybe somebody better, but I was pretty uninspired by my right back options overall. I have an Italian midfield of Sandro Tonali and Nico Barella. My wide midfielder, so my right midfielder is Ademola Lookman, and my left midfielder is Kvaratskhelia.
Lookman.
Yeah, there's a lot of options in that part of the field. I didn't even pick Szoboszlai for this, and I think that might be a misstep somewhere. I'm not sure. And then my strikers are Victor Osimhen and Robert Lewandowski.
Ooh.
That's a good team.
That's a good team.
That's a really good team.
Joe's got a proper football man's front two there. Proper strikers.
How good would those two guys be together, though? Lewandowski's ability to bring players into the game is all-time elite, and Osimhen is just unbelievably good at so many things off the ball and with his whole... it would be filthy. This team would be absolutely filthy. That's my 11, and we can talk about how good it would be later.
Joe, what was your midfield again?
I have Tonali and Barella as my double pivot, which I think would work quite well. The thing that I'm actually worried about in this team, I'm legitimately worried about how I'm going to control Bastoni as my left-sided center back in a back four. Hopefully Calafiori maybe balances that out, but it's not perfect. I think maybe this should be a 3-5-2 team, but then I can't have all the attacking pieces I want, and I'm not willing to compromise on that.
Bastoni might be the ultimate system player in that the difference between him for Inter and for Italy, who tend to play like an orthodox back four, is drastic. Like there's been discussion about whether he should even play for Italy. Yeah. That's how bad he's been. So I have concerns about him in a back four, but I'm with you, Joe. I've also included him as one of my centre backs.
Give us your team, Graham.
So I've gone Donnarumma. Left back, I've gone Federico Di Marco. Yep, correct. I've got him in an orthodox back four as well. Bastoni and Milenkovic as my centre backs. Right back, I agree, Joe, was difficult. I've gone for Connor Bradley. Northern Ireland obviously not going to be there. I could have maybe gone with Soboslai at right back. I don't feel great about that being his position.
Oh,
but
that's
obviously
a good shout.
He's played there for Liverpool. Go on, Taylor.
Can I talk either one of you into Giovanni Di Lorenzo from Napoli?
Yep, good shout.
Sure.
That's probably better than Connor Bradley, to be fair. But I'm kind of tempted with Soboslai because I've got too many midfielders I want to fit into that midfield three. And Joe, the Lewandowski shout has made me has making me reconsider my selection. Just because Lewandowski, I feel like he is maybe coming down the other side of the mountain now. Like he's not starting for Barcelona at the moment. So I didn't have him in my team, and so I've just gone for like an orthodox front three. But my midfield three is Tonali and Barella, who Joe had. And then I've got a choice between Soboslai or Carlos Baliba, Cameroon, in that midfield three. Then I've got Maradona on the left. I went for Brian Mbuemo on the right. I could be convinced by Ademola Lookman, but I don't know if there's much between those two players. And then I've got Victor Osimhen as my centre forward.
Yeah, I do like that idea, Graham. If you're going to go with the front three of dropping Lewandowski, and then you can go 3-4-3, and you could play you have to play another center back, but you could have Bastoni in his more natural role, which would also then allow you. I know this isn't what you did, but that would allow you to play DiMarco in his more natural role. Mm-hmm. I'm surprised you went with DiMarco over Calafiori, especially in a back four. Explain.
I just think Calafiori, as handsome as he is just very raw, and we've seen that for Arsenal. Where DiMarco, who is also like not very defensive, so I guess that criticism could be made of him as well. But I just think he's so influential. Like when he's on it, he influences and impacts games so readily in a way that Calafiori doesn't.
That's fair. Taylor, what's your 11 look like?
I guess I'm the only one who went with Jan Oblak, but I went Jan Oblak in goal. It was between him and Donnarumma. DiMarco, Bastoni. I didn't have Milenkovic. I went Orban, but you could talk me into Milenkovic instead. Di Lorenzo as my right back, Soboslai and Locatelli, actually with Barella as a midfield three, and then Kvara, Osimhen, and Mbuemo.
Nice.
That's a good team.
Okay. Yeah, so these are all very solid teams with relatively similar elements in them. The question is, how would they rank among the favourites at the World Cup? How deep, theoretically, would this team go? Is this a round of 16 or a quarter-final contender? Joe, what do we think?
Kind of right in that range is where I would have them. So I thought about this in terms of ranking these teams, and I ended up with this team in about the 9 to 11 range. Now, that might end up being a little bit high because we didn't end up doing the full depth here, but I think even in the fact that we had some different names than our 11s, I think the bench for this team would also be very strong, pretty much on par with what you'd expect of a bench of the team with the starting 11's quality. So I had them 9 to 11. I think they'd be behind France and Spain, and England and Brazil and Argentina and Portugal. Those are, I think, are 6 teams that are going to be filthy this summer. I think they're probably behind Germany and the Netherlands, so that's 8 teams that I think they're behind. Though you could make an argument that they would be ahead of the Dutch. Yeah. And then you have Belgium and Colombia, and I think you're right in that zone of like the Netherlands and Belgium and Colombia. That feels right. I guess that's 8 to 11. Then I sort of feel like this team belongs in that tier of teams. And that then makes me think they're probably going to make it to the quarterfinals or the round of 16, just based off of how many teams we'd expect to be in at that stage. So that's where I have this group.
Yeah, I'm really high on the quality of this team. I think I put them at the top end of tier 2.
Okay.
So my tier 1, does anyone truly believe that the winner of this World Cup this summer is going to come from outside the 5 of Spain, England, France, Portugal, and Argentina? They would be my 5. Like I just can't see the winner coming from. Brazil would maybe be the other one you would mention, but this isn't a vintage Brazil team. They've got some injuries, and their qualifying form was dreadful.
Is Tyler Adams bubble wrapped or not?
He's wrapped. Yeah. He's wrapped.
Oh well, then
Yeah, that could push them up into the tier 1. But I think this team, like when I look at the quality of that tier 2, I would include teams like Brazil, Germany, Netherlands, Belgium. I think this team compares favourably. Like the front 3 that I think Taylor and I both had, and Joe, you were receptive to as well. The front 3 I had was Kvara, Osimhen, and Mbuemo, with Ademola Lookman in there as a rotation option as well. like, that is definitely good enough, I think, if the draw is correct, or the draw is favourable, to make, like, a semi-final. I think maybe pushing them into winners category is a step too far, but yeah, I think they're in the top end of that tier 2.
And I don't disagree with what was said there, Graham, but referring to Brazil and Germany as tier 2 teams just seems wild.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on your definition, right?
Yeah.
Some people might call them tier 1 teams. But I just think my tier 1 classification is the teams that you would not be surprised at all if they won the World Cup. And would I be surprised if Germany or the Netherlands won the World Cup? Yeah, a little bit. These two teams, they're not great German or Netherlands or Dutch teams at the moment.
Fair.
We know FIFA loves like silly experimentation and random wrinkles thrown in. If you had to have one of the following, which one would you all prefer? That at a future World Cup, there is a like unqualified 11 where a manager is appointed, they get to select their team of all the players that didn't qualify, and then they go to the tournament? Or would you rather have a draft based on FIFA rankings where the worst qualified team gets first pick of the players that aren't going to the World Cup, and then they get added to those teams accordingly, and you go down the list like that?
Wow.
Which would you prefer, World Cup draft or unqualified 11?
Taylor, clarify the second option. So the worst... Sorry, can you say that again?
Yes, like I forget who the worst qualified team is this time around, but they would get first pick, and so they could be like, we'll take Kvardana, we'll take Lewandowski,
so
we'll
they get
take
one
Osimhen.
player.
Yes, they get one player, and then the next team, and the next team, and the next team, and so you go down that way. So by the time it gets to like the U.S., maybe there is an Italian center back that hasn't been picked up that we could bring in to make that center back pool that much stronger.
I want that one. I want the draft, but I want multiple rounds because it doesn't move me to see one player end up playing for Australia. Like even Kvaratskhelia, that's really not going to meaningfully change Australia's fate, I think, this summer. But if you give them 3 of the best 150 players in the world who didn't make it to the World Cup, I know by the time you get to the third round, it's going to be a little bit rough. But I want that. I think the drama and spectacle of that, Taylor, genuinely, I'd be up for that. I've got to be honest. I'd be really up for that.
Good stuff. All right. Clay W., we thank you for your question. We've got one more for this episode from Henry Paradise. That's a famous person name, isn't it? Henry Paradise. Very nice indeed. Who would make it farther in the World Cup? A Group D All-Star team or an MLS All-Star team? Ooh, good question, Graham. As a reminder, Group D is, of course, the US, Turkey, Australia, and Paraguay.
Do Australia have Kvaradona in this team? Is the draft taking
Only
place?
if the draft favours them, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. What do you think?
So we did a Group D All-Star team a few weeks ago, right? I went back and looked at my notes. So just very quickly, because I know we've already kind of done this, but very quickly, my Group D All-Star lineup was, I went for Matty Ryan. I know there was a bit of it was difference of opinion on that, but I went for Matty Ryan as my goalkeeper, went for Jedi Robinson left back, I went for Zeki Selleck right back, Chris Richards and Alderete centre backs. Midfielders, I went for Çalhanoğlu and Weston McKennie. I went Arda Güler as my kind of like floating number 10. Then I went Kedin, Yildiz and Pulisic as my wingers, and I went Balogun as my centre forward. I think that team beats a current MLS All-Star team, even if they have Messi and Son and Thomas Müller. Where I'm swithering a little bit is if you add Antoine Griezmann into the mix, if we can somehow skip ahead there, well, he's going to join. I don't know why you're looking at me like that.
No,
right?
you said word swithering again. It's like
swithering.
Charles Dickens is back.
I thought it was the adding Griezmann to the team that you were having issue with. I was like, he has signed a contract for Orlando City, and you better believe his lawyers have checked that. So I kind of feel like if you add Griezmann into the mix, that kind of starts to tip the scales for me. But the Group D team, they just have players like Güler and Yildiz and Weston and Pulisic and Balogun and Çalhanoğlu, although he's getting on a little bit. Jedi Robinson. They're all in their peak years, and that feels like kind of hard to compete with.
Yeah. I also went with the Group D team, though it was a little closer than I thought. After digging in a little deeper, I thought at first it's going to be Group D by a country mile, and it was only by maybe a regular mile. I think the area that is problematic for the MLS group, unsurprisingly, is the defense. I mean, I went through and tried to pick my back line, and I ended up with Andy Najar as my right back. I went with Manu Dua from San Diego FC as one of my center backs, and Tristan Blackman as the other. You can argue about who those players should be. Oh, and then I have Juan Manuel Sanabria from RSL as my left back. You can make an argument about who those players should be, but the reality is the best fullbacks in MLS seem to be the attacking ones, and the best center backs in MLS are really not all that good at all. I mean, Manu Dua is a player I'm very high on, but he's still developing a little bit and is not really tested at this sort of level And Tristan Blackman's a guy who's like a fringe U.S. national teamer. And we talk about all the time about how concerned sort of we are about the center back pool for the U.S. basically all the time. That is a concern for me. I think you look in the midfield, if you trot out a midfield of Steven Eustachio or maybe Andres Cubas, two guys that are full-blooded internationals, you have Triantis in midfield. I really rate him and think he could be playing in the Champions League in the next 3 years. And Rodrigo De Paul or you have Muller or whoever it is. I think the midfield is not miles off, but it is still a little bit off. And then the attack, I think, does look quite even. I mean, Messi would be the best player on the field. Son, I think, is as good as any wide attacking option that the U.S. has. You could have a Muller, you could have a Dreyer. I think the attack is really quite close between these two, but the defense is very much not, as far as I'm concerned. And the midfield is still edge to the Group D team as well. But again, there's some players here, and I could imagine a world by, I don't know, maybe the next World Cup where this is a more interesting conversation.
Yeah. Taylor, do you concur with the World Cup team edging it?
Yes, definitely so. The MLS defensive aspect of things is the one where it kind of falls apart to me. Not that like Group D team was super, super solid defensively, but I mean, I'd still take Dest, Jacek Celik, Kabak, Richards, Alderete, and Jedi in some form as a strong enough team to get past whatever MLS is doing, and then I think the attack is good enough to handle MLS defenses. So yeah, I'd take the Group D All-Star team for sure.
Chris Richards would be the best center back in MLS, and it would not be close, right? I think that's the difference, and Anthony Robinson would be the best left back in MLS. Although, I mean, there are some really useful outside backs going forward, but at least in the middle of the back line, Richards would be head and shoulders above the competition here, and I just think that's too much for this MLS group to overcome.
Why, Joe, would MLS not have an All-Star game against the USMNT, and in which you prioritize MLS players, American players, to the MLS side? Would that be fun? I think that'd be fun.
I think that'd be super fun. I mean, the All-Star format feels tired. The MLS All-Stars versus Liga MX All-Stars. I've advocated, along with many others, that we should go back to the East versus West thing as MLS continues to mature. I think it's fine to kind of rotate through and chop and change. There's just so much innovation that can happen. Yeah, draft. Like follow what the NBA has done at times in the past. I think that'd be so much fun. You got to get these guys to care about it, though, right? And that's a little bit different. At least to care enough to do the draft, like to show up and actually do the thing. Yeah. But I think the MLS
versus... I've got to do what? I don't even talk to local media.
I'm not doing that. Like Ian Fry, you go do it, bud. Like no, Alan, you go draft for me. You're my proxy. Like I think that would be a blast. That sort of format, Ryan. I love the idea of All-Star games in the summer. If you can get somehow the logistics of it, I suppose, are really difficult to get all the U.S. players together. Like they're not together at that time of the year. Although I suppose All-Star window will change coming up when the calendar flips. So who knows? Maybe if FIFA changes the structure, they could have some fun.
I'm sure there was a period back in the day when the Spanish champions would play the Spanish national team as like their curtain raiser. I might have made that up. I'm sure that was a thing.
That's not an AI hallucination.
Could have been. I have a lot of those.
Yeah. I mean, if that was Barcelona versus the Spanish national team, that's a blood sport.
I pay to see it. There we go. Henry Paradise, thank you very much indeed for your question. That is your World Cup Listener Questions special. Thank you very much for joining us on this journey, listener. If you'd like more, we have a bonus listener question on our bonus feed, patreon.com/Total Soccer Show, where you get bonus apps, you get access to our Discord, and so much more. That bonus question is about Frank Lampard and whether he should go back to Chelsea. Not sure about that, but thank you very much indeed for joining us on this one, Taylor Rockwell. We appreciate your services as always.
My pleasure, my friend, and I appreciate you.
Aw, thank you very much, Joe Lowry.
Hey, thanks, Ryan.
And thank you, Graham Ruthven.
Thank you, Ryan Bailey.
And thank you again, listener, for joining us on this one. You have yourselves a wonderful rest of your weekend. We'll be back on the feed with the weekend review on Monday, but for now, bye.